When you and Joan work together, now,
Yeah.
who is the opening act?
Well, we don't set it as an opening act. What we do is we literally flip a coin backstage. We both get dressed like we're going to go on. And then we flip a coin. She wins, I would say, 95% of the time. And I've checked this coin, I've bitten it, I've looked to see if there are two Washington heads on it. But she wins a lot. And then we go out, and then we come back at the end of the show, and we take questions from the audience for about 20 minutes. I'll tell you something about working with Joan Embery, and I'm not saying this because we're working. Besides being the funniest lady, and we all know that, and it has added something to my career, working with her. It's an excitement. I like working with acts and all that, and I like working on my own. But when we work together, I look forward to those jobs like I did when I first started comedy, you know, like 10 years ago. That's how exciting it is. Because the people are all in there to see comedy. They're not in there to hear, you know, New York, New York, my way, you know?
Well, you could try.
Nothing against it. Music's my life. I don't want you to get the wrong impression. But they're really into comedy, so it's a different kind of
great thing, and you can't have too much of it.
Yes, you can. Get sick of your stomach from laughing. Right now, I want to bring out my first guest. She's a favorite here on The Tonight Show, and been here many times with unique animals. It's Joan Embery, who's from the San Diego Zoo and Wild Animal Park. And she's going to have her own daily television show on cable TV starting in June. I don't know what she's brought us here, but please welcome Joan Embery and friends. They gave me this. It's like, oh.
That's how you make friends with the zebra.
Oh, yeah? Here, it's yours.
This
you
is
give
Zelda.
it this way.
That's right.
All right. This is Zelda?
And she's the first zebra. I've worked with a lot of animals. The first zebra I've ever had on a television show. And maybe one of the first zebras on a live television show. They're usually very cantankerous by this age, and especially as adults.
You mean they're vicious?
Even though they're in the horse family, they're very suspicious of people.
What am I, pump? Why do I have to pump? I don't understand it. This is like with a cow. It's already out of the cow, pal. Stay still.
Actually,
yeah.
she still loves that bottle. She's eating solid food, which is hay and grasses, but she loves the milk. And she's very suspicious of strangers, but when she sees the milk, then it's okay. Then all of a sudden you're okay if you have the food.
Oh, great. Do we have more milk in case she finishes this?
That's it. You can see how fast she drinks it.
Yeah. Well, I don't want her to run out and then get vicious. She won't do that, will she?
No. Oh. Actually, if you watch the hindquarters, we don't have people walk behind her because she's very handy with her hind end. She can kick you twice before you ever knew what hit you.
I took out a girl like that once.
She's a grevy zebra, and they are among the rarest of the various types of zebras, which vary in their color pattern, and one of the most spectacular. They get up to about 5 foot high, and there are only about 1,000 of them left in Kenya. At one point, there were 15,000, and they were hunted for their skins, for phone book covers, wall hangings, rugs. So we really like to point out that those things really cause the decline of many species. So we have to be very careful. Come on up here, Zelda. Get up on the carpet.
Well, if she kicks me, she's going to have zippers and buttons on her by morning, I'll tell you that.
Let me see if I can get on the other side so everybody can see her. They have extremely large ears. They have excellent hearing and good sense of smell, and are very wary of anybody approaching them. And their predators in the wild would be things like lions and hyenas.
Are afraid of them? A lion is afraid of
No, that's who preys on them.
Oh, I was going to say it.
They have a very swift kick, and you can imagine with a 500-pound lion how well they can kick to fend off an animal of that size.
Well, what are they? A combination of what? I mean, they're... hello. More milk. Good milk.
They're a wild form of equine, and there are the zebras and the wild asses, and although they look like a horse, temperamentally they're very different, because the one factor which is allowed for their survival is their ability to fend off predators and survive in the wild. And domestic animals really depend on us, and over thousands of years we've selected for the temperaments that we see in a domestic animal. Even though they follow through with some of the traits, zebras cannot be easily trained to ride or drive. It's been done, but very seldom.
You mean to drive? How could they drive?
It's pretty difficult. I've heard.
How do they get behind the wheel, first of all?
drive a cart, but I've heard some interesting stories about hooking them up in some very wild rides in the process. Occasionally you'll see them in the circus, but you really have to start with a very young animal like Zelda, because if you start with an adult, it's almost impossible. You start with them we started with her at 8 weeks, and she was already wanting to run people away, strangers away. So it's taken a lot of daily work to get her calm enough that we can bring her into a studio.
All right, well, I think I'm running out of milk, so I'm going to take a break, and you'll take her backstage, all right? We'll have more animals right after this. That's it. Back. We have Joan Embery here, and she has another animal for us. Joan, you want to bring out the... whatever? It's moving the curtain a lot, I'll tell you that. Oh.
This is a wild one.
This is a wild dog?
Wild one.
I don't believe it. It looks like a golden retriever. Hi, where's the milk?
That's exactly what it is. And she's the first dog we've ever had at the zoo. And there's a very interesting story behind how she became a member of our wild animal collection. She has a very special roommate at the zoo. And she's about a year old, and her roommate is about the same age. And so I will give her to you, and I will go get her roommate, which she is very fond of. She loves everybody. This is Anna.
Love
Anna?
roommates.
How you doing, Anna? Isn't that nice? We're bringing out your roommate.
Oh, goodness.
Who pays the rent, Anna? Oh, my God. This is a roommate? Doesn't she know she's a dog? Hello.
You know, we all hear the stories about cats and dogs and the relationships. And it's very interesting when you introduce wild animals of various types at a very young age. Now, this cheetah is a year old. He weighed about 1 pound at birth. And he lives with Anna, and they get along very well, even though they're cat and dog. And you can see in this case, the cat's bigger than the dog. And the dog is #1 on the pecking order. The dog really keeps this cat in line. But the reason for their very special...
Yeah, why would they ever put together? I mean, what?
The reason for their relationship is that the cheetah, although it's solitary in the wild, has been hand-raised, and he is part of our shows, and he gets lonely when there aren't people around all day. So Anna serves that, you know, important function of providing him with some attention, some friendship, and right now she's interested in everything else. He's old hat. She says, I live with you every day. I'm interested in the
I think
carpet.
Anna's been selling her drugs.
This is a cheetah. And they're from Africa, and they're the fastest cats. This cat can outrun this dog easily. They run about 65 miles an hour. And we're going to take them over and see if they'll play on their carpet.
65 miles an hour.
So
for how long can they run that fast?
Short distances. They prey on antelope like gazelle and impala and reedbuck, and he's watching. He likes to watch himself on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Okay, nice, nice. Nice. Here's your friend right here. Roommate.
Anna.
Roommate.
Come here.
Okay.
What's that? Usually when one gets a toy, then they both, you know, take a look at it and they want to play with it. Anna, what's this?
Here, I can handle this, Doc. This wild animal, I got it. It's okay, Doc. Down, animal.
They're really fun to watch. They play together and run and just have a great time. One thing that's interesting, we talked about the pecking order. It's the dog who eats first, and it's the dog who chases the cat away from the food and growls at him if he wants to share. So that's how she is established at an early age. She was about 2 to 3 months old when we got her, and the cheetah was a few weeks old. So the reason she was chosen is they're close in size, and the temperament of the Goldens is known for being very good.
Wouldn't it be funny if I were killed by a golden retriever? I'm sitting here so confident. It's a dog, you know. I'm staying away from this, and this is the one that kills me. I mean, does he kick or something like the, No.
Their main defense, really, is their ability to run. And the long tail that he has here, he uses like a rudder. So when he turns, he can use that tail to balance him on the quick turns. Also, he can't retract his claws like all the other cats. And then that way, he is more like a dog.
I'll bet you I could do 75 an hour if he came after me. Oh, that's it. Friends, roommate.
Actually, there's a little bit of jealousy to explain.
Oh, yes, I see it. Okay.
That's my toy.
This is the only suit I have, you know?
It's feeding time.
I noticed that, Doc. It is. Okay.
Come here.
Yeah, come on.
Right.
It's only a sock. Don't be an idiot. It's not gold.
All
There we
right,
go.
let's see. Now we'll see. We're going to show you all that animals can learn to live together, and we're going to have these two show you.
Not all four of us,
How they
right?
eat
Just,
So we'll...
I already ate. Don't look
If
at me.
Anna would give up her paint roller. Here, Anna, look.
Look, Anna. Look.
What's that? What is that?
Look at this.
She says, I'd rather play with my paint
Look at
roller.
this. A garbage can lid filled with milk.
Now, the cheetah will weigh about 150 pounds as a mature animal, so he'll be slightly larger than Anna. And it'll be interesting to see whether she remains #1 or whether at some point he challenges that and takes over the control. But right now, they do very well together and perform every day in our shows at the zoo. And we've found that it, really can work.
And she's always in a springing position, right? Like,
They have that very sleek body for speed. And when they're running, their hind feet actually pass their front end. It is incredible to watch them move out. And they have a very top speed for a short distance. So if they don't catch that animal within a few hundred yards, then they can't keep up that speed.
They're beautiful. Look how long they get along together. This is nice. All right, now that they're feeding, we're going to take a break and then take them back there. For my sake. Welcome back to the time. And now we have Joan Embery is going to bring out another animal. Right, Joan? You have it? You need help? Oh, isn't that? That's my kind of animal.
This one's easy. This one's for you.
Oh, I love monkeys. Now you're getting... Whoa, hello.
He's 5 months old, and this is Mom. This is a paint roller, and it's a surrogate mother. Like some of our large apes will use blankets, and they would still be clinging on to the mother's back. So we use the paint roller as something that he can cling to for security when he's in his incubator or in the playpen when they get older, until they're independent of Mom. And he's sucking his thumb.
How old is he?
He's 5 months. He weighed 3 ounces when he was born.
Oh, my.
Just tiny. And they were in the incubator. We had 3 of them, and the other 2 are also still in the nursery, and they weigh about 2 pounds, so they're very small. They're squirrel monkeys from South America, and they live about 100 to 150 feet at the top of the trees, and they run from one tree to another, and they're really very good gymnasts in the trees, and they're able to collect the fruits and nuts. In fact, we brought one of the things that he likes. We'll see if he'll eat them. This is a mealworm. Now,
I'm your father. This is your mother, and I'm your father.
He's going to look at you. They don't have a prehensile tail like most of them. You can feed him a mealworm.
Feed him a what?
That's a little mealworm.
That was a worm?
He loves that.
I don't believe this. Oh, they're moving. Oh.
They love those.
You never heard of hamburgers?
They eat fruits and berries and frogs and birds eggs. Anything that they can find in a tropical forest where they live.
I hope he finishes his dinner. I don't want to walk around with worms in my hand.
He likes you. Boy, you've made friends. He's going to jump right up on your shoulder. Now,
with the worms?
They're very... Right, with the worms. They're very quiet usually, but except for when they're alarmed or a little nervous, they'll make that squeaking noise.
He left one. Come on. Here you go, dessert. Look at him.
Good stuff. That's his favorite. He gets fruit, too, but he loves those worms.
They're amazing. They're very bright, aren't they?
They have, for their size, the largest brain of any primate, and even larger than man's.
Then wouldn't they be more... Isn't the intelligence of an animal determined by the ratio between the spine and the brain?
Well, the problem is we have trouble determining the intelligence of animals because we tend to relate to them in terms of human-type qualities or human behavioral patterns. It's hard to find a constant on which you can judge all of them. But they are very intelligent, and for their weight, they have a brain that's about twice the size of ours, which is really interesting for such a small primate.
He's so bright. How come he's eating worms? All right, Joe, I want to thank you a lot, as always. You're wonderful.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with more of The Tonight Show right after this. Hey.